Hello and welcome to the latest edition of UMass Sports Weekly, your source for UMass sports. I'm your host, Chris Corso, and today we have a wide range of highlights for all your Minutemen and Minutewomen sports. Our UMass football team had another exciting finish this week. Stay locked to see if things finally went the right way after a nail-biting game. And so much more. We can't wait to bring you this week's news in UMass athletics. Our crew captured the Minutewomen's game-winning goal on Sunday. The men's soccer team opened up conference play against St. Joe's. Women's field hockey looked much improved this weekend at Garber. And the Minutemen hockey team finally laced up their skates and hit the ice Saturday for their first exhibition of the season. Stay tuned for our thorough analysis and highlights. This is UMass Sports Weekly.
This is UMass Sports Weekly.
Welcome back to UMass Sports Weekly. I'm your host, Chris Corso, here with our football expert, Xander Manning, and we're here to talk UMass football. Now, another tough loss for the Minutemen. We go against Miami, Ohio, in Oxford. We're up 27 points. 3 UMass turnovers in the fourth quarter, and you look at the game at the end, and it's 42-41 for the Red Hawks, not the Minutemen. Xander, the last drive couldn't have been more disappointing. We're on the Miami 6. We're down 1 point, and we got that field goal right there. And our coach, Mark Whipple, doesn't want to kick the field goal, and instead we lose the game. Tell me about that drive, Xander.
What I really take away from this drive is simple. UMass doesn't have faith in their kickers. I don't think they need to give more time for Blake Lucas to actually kick some field goals in practice, get his rhythm down, maybe even mix in Matthew Wiley there for a little bit. I mean, Matthew Wiley proved himself. He missed a field goal in the one game that he did kick, but granted, it was a 35-yard field goal, hard for a lot of college kickers to make. But I say that drive was probably one of the most disappointing drives of the season and the game. And I feel like they should have spiked it and given him a shot, despite what he's been through this season so far.
Now, Mark Whipple just seems to be beaten as a coach. The Minutemen seem to be beaten as a team. They beat Miami last year, which was one of the wins that I've seen on campus here since they've been in Division I A, and now they lose to Miami. They're Miami's first win in 21 games. I mean, that's pretty embarrassing for UMass. What do you got to say about that, Xander?
I think it's pretty pathetic that they lost this game after beating them last year by about 17. But really what I'm taking away from this game is that, once again, I've been saying it all season, it's their defense that's been letting them down. It's not that their defense isn't good, it's just their defense quits once they're ahead. They were ahead by, like you said, Chris, up by 27. But they lost this game because the defense just quit and thought that they could handle it for the rest of the game. Let up little scores here, little scores there. But they didn't win this game because the defense gave up too soon.
Now, this isn't something new for the Minutemen. We saw it in the game against Vanderbilt when Blake Lucas missed that field goal. Maybe that's why Coach Mark Whipple doesn't go to Blake Lucas in the big moment again, because he feared that he would miss a chip shot from the 6. But
who knows?
Now next week, our Minutemen have not got a win yet. They go on to play Kent State, who's winless this season. Now the Minutemen are still the underdog at a point, which is pretty embarrassing as well. But we got high hopes here. Tell us a little bit about that game going forward.
Well, we're playing another winless team again this week. Both teams are 0-5, 0-2 in MAC play. Feel bad for both teams, mostly the Minutemen because it's the Minutemen. But I think we have a pretty good shot going into this game. Their run game isn't very good, and our run defense has been pretty inconsistent all season. And then their passing game has been subpar at best as well. Their quarterback, he hasn't been throwing the ball as well as he probably could be. Granted, it's probably one of his first years as a starter, but the way Front Apple's been throwing the ball and the defense that we're facing this weekend, I think we have a good shot at a possible win. If not, again, a closer loss. Maybe a tie and lose it in overtime this time instead of missing the field goal right at the end of the game. But I feel like we could win by about a touchdown if we do win.
I agree. I like the play of Fernapple. Last week he was the player of the week in the MAC conference in the East, so that was great to see. And he's shown that he can throw the ball all year. He's shown he can move on the ground. He's shown the ability to propel this offense. But in my opinion, it's been the defense and, of course, the special teams that has given the Minutemen problems. And as you can see, Coach Whipple does not trust his kickers, which kind of led to their downfall this week, I would say. But thank you, Xander, for your analysis. And we're going to go into a package of UMass hockey. Coach John Micheletto's hockey team hosted an exhibition game against Dalhousie where 4 goals were scored by freshmen, which carried the Minutemen team to a 5-2 victory at the Mullen Center on Saturday. Our own Tommy Kaludi has the season preview, and here's the package.
Minutemen took on the Dalhousie Tigers in a preseason matchup. The Minutemen are looking to improve on their 8-22-4 season that left them in the basement of the Hockey East. A big part of UMass's team this year will be the 9 incoming freshmen, and Coach Joe Micheletto has nothing but confidence in those players.
I thought everybody had an influence. I mean, it's it's impressive when any defenseman's able to get 12 shots on goal. So that number sticks out for Jay Corton an awful lot. Dennis certainly showed up in the score box an awful lot. But obviously that all freshman line of Trento, Burchett, and Petrella had a nice goal. And I don't think anybody was as dynamic, especially on the power play, as Patrick Lee. So.
One of the freshmen Joe Micheletto keyed in on was Dennis Kravchenko of California. Kravchenko had 2 goals in the Dalhousie game, has a killer slap shot, and has the skill set to be a great player in D1 hockey.
What are some of the things you think you do well?
I think I see the ice pretty well. Frank's got a great shot, so I try and get him the puck as much as possible. Troy, he's got a great shot. He's got good foot movement. We all got different things that help each other out to really build this line and have chemistry, and I think that's why we become successful.
Although the Minutemen are a young team, they do have some returning firepower. Troy Power comes back after a really great bounce-back season, and then players like Steven Yakobelis and Oleg Yavanko look to anchor both sides of the puck to make UMass a truly formidable team in the Hockey East. Another player I believe could be vital for the Minutemen is forward Frank Vetrano. Vetrano couldn't play last year because of NCAA rules, but I feel like playing on a line with Power and Kravchenko will help him become a truly great player. Coach Joe Micheletto knows how tough the Hockey East is, and he knows how well his players are going to need to perform in order to compete in such a difficult league.
The additional layer that you probably saw a little bit more of that we're trying to add is just much more puck possession. So, as we progress, I think it's a good formula. It's what we're trying to build, and I think, as we continue to learn how to do it, hopefully it bodes well for success in the league, because I know those games aren't easy.
After witnessing a decisive 5-1 win in the Dalhousie game, this reporter is a believer in this UMass hockey team, and even though they're underdogs, I think they can come out on top this year. This is Tommy Kaludi for UMass Sports Weekly.
Welcome back. The women's soccer team had a positive showing this weekend at Amherst as well. A 1-1 tie against George Mason and a 2-1 victory against St. Joe's were covered by our Minutewoman insider, Liam Byrne. First, we're going to take a look at that 1-1 tie against George Mason.
A gorgeous Friday afternoon in Amherst for UMass Minutewomen soccer as their first A-10 opponent comes to town, George Mason. And these women are ready, and they're ready to go. Here is that handshake. Oh, it's beautiful. All right, we take you to George Mason. For number 27, Liz Hodges. Her first goal of the season against UMass chipped over Cassidy Babin. But now we take you to UMass as they answer back. A beautiful pass by Megan Burke to none other than Jackie Bruno. She makes a move, and then to the left, whips it across, up high above the goalie, and it's now 1-1, the score. And here we go. UMass with another opportunity. Header on the left side, just wide of the net, and that's how the game will end, 1-1.
So Liam, what Coach Matz always tells me when I used to cover the team was it's a new season when the conference schedule starts, and that's what it's been. We've had struggles so far. Now the conference schedule comes, and we win one and we tie one. So we had some contributions from a little bit of some different players, not just Jackie Bruno, not just Megan Burke. So tell me about some of those players, Liam.
Well, Chris, mainly these players were on defense. Number 21, Georgia Gibson, was very active. She had her first career goal against St. Joe's, which you'll see the highlight package after we talk about this. First year forward, she's a freshman. Natalie Persault was all over the field. All over the field. She's the fastest girl on the field when she's out there. I swear, she was lightning. Defender Rebecca Sverresdottir. Yeah, Sverresdottir. She's a junior co-captain from Iceland, and she contributed hugely in both games, especially the St. Joe's one. Actually, how she got recruited was kind of weird. She never stepped foot on campus, and she sent a video to Coach Matz, and he loved her, and that's how she got here to UMass. So, and the final contributor is junior Madison Smith. She kept the ball flowing right up the side of the field to gain possibilities for the offense and the defense for the Minutewomen.
So we like to see that. We see some other contributions, not just Jackie Bruno, not just Megan Burke. It's great to see for this team. It's a very young team, an up-and-coming team, which is what we'd like to hope.
Absolutely.
And you'll see a little bit of that in this game. A 2-1 victory on Sunday against St. Joe's, and our own Liam has the story.
Number 21, Georgia Gibson and the UMass Minutewomen as they take on St. Joe's in their second A-10 conference play and their second match of the weekend. Here's Cassidy Babin. She comes out of goal, hits into an offender, but the defense makes sure the ball does not go in the net for Babin. St. Joe's from the corner. Megan DePippa gets the header in, and they'll take the lead 1-0. But Georgia Gibson strikes back from the Minutewomen and takes a nice shot to the left side of the goalie, and the score is now 1-1. Now here we come. Rebecca Sverresdottir goes down with an injury, but comes back in the second half, and she played out of her mind. Now St. Joe's tries another one, but Cassidy Babin punches it out of the goal. And here she is with another save. She had a spectacular game. But Jackie Bruno will take care of the rest. Jackie Bruno from the corner. No need for anybody to put that in. She's got it. Jackie Bruno's been amazing this season, and she's definitely proven it in this one. UMass up 2-1, and that is how the game will end. And I talk to head coach Ed Matz after the game.
I'm pretty happy with coming out of here with the 4 points. And we got a lot of soccer left to go, so I just hope that all of our kids are healthy and are able to help us as we go forward.
So we see the victory there from the Minutewomen, and you see a coach, Ed Matz, who's a little happier than we've seen him in the past.
Yeah, for sure.
So Liam, as we see what Matz had to say, tell us a little bit about his strategy this weekend and why they had so much success.
It was keeping his girls fresh. He had a lot of substitutions, especially. He was quoted saying, "We use a lot of people in the first half to try and keep ourselves fresh. So it's good when you can get that many people involved and that many people are contributing in an 8-10 win." But another thing that he strategized on was defense, defense, defense. The Minutewomen's defense played out of their mind this weekend, better than anything that they've played this season for sure. They wanted to win both these 8-10 games at home just to show that they're a great team, and they can be. Rebecca Sverresdottir, Madison Smith, Julia Whitehofer, Georgia Gibson, they all contributed greatly in the past 2 games this weekend. So that's how they really won one of their games and tied the other, was just straight up hardcore defense that is going to win you games. I mean, their offense wasn't really started up in the first part of the season, but now I think the start of A-10 play, their defense is really going to help their offense. And then finally, a strategy that I thought was pretty interesting was starting a freshman in goal, Cassidy Babin. Danielle Krasinski had some shoulder surgery, as Coach Matz told me in his interview after the game over the summer, and gave Babin some great experience so far. And she's only 17. She's very young,
Wow.
So there's a big future ahead for the Minutewomen in the goalkeeper position.
Well, that's awesome to hear, Liam. And you talk about defense. when you're not averaging a goal a game, it's really going to come down to defense for the Minutewomen. There's been a ton of games where they have not scored. And you talk about Cassidy Babin, which she started 4 games and played the last 5 for the Minutewomen, which has been great to see a little bit of change, a little bit of youth in the lineup, and it's great to see for the Minutewomen going forward. But thank you, Liam. I appreciate your analysis on the team, and it's great to see some success for the Minutewomen.
Absolutely.
We'll be back in a little bit to talk some men's soccer. Welcome back. The men's soccer team kicked off their conference schedule this weekend with a matchup at home against St. Joe's on Saturday. In a game played in continuous rain showers, St. Joseph's was able to capitalize on the sloppy track with a goal in the 86th minute to defeat Massachusetts at Rudd Field. Our own UMass Sports Weekly crew was there to capture the close-fought game.
Atlantic 10 opener facing St. Joseph's on Saturday. No score in the 16th minute. UMass with their only corner kick on the day as Josh Schwartz and Matt Keys try to make reservations with the back of the net, but those plans are canceled by St. Joe's Bobby Edwards. The Hawks get a slew of chances with their second corner in the first half. The first shot gets punched away by Ryan Buckingham, and then Matt Keys with a great effort to kick away the second shot. When the ricochet reaches around to Jake Nelson, he buys some time dancing around the perimeter of the box before a third St. Joe's shot gets denied by Buckingham. Late in the first half, UMass catches the Hawks' defense taking a nap. Mark Morris gets a 1v1 with the keeper. He beats the keeper. Can he score? No, he can't. St. Joe's rescues it in time to keep the game drawn at 0. In the second half, St. Joe's came back out with a vengeance. Mark Colville finds space deep in the UMass end. He cuts a shot on the inside of Matt Mooney, but Buckingham is there to swallow up the attack. Later, it's Emmanuel Tomei who shakes and bakes it with UMass defender Matt Pease. Pease gets beat, but Buckingham is there to stifle the shot. No score in the 86th minute. Mark Colville would get his chance against Buckingham. He chips one over to keeper and into the back of the net. His second goal of the season puts St. Joe's up 1-0. And that's how it would end, folks, as UMass drops the Atlantic 10 conference opener.
And we're back to talk men's soccer with Tim Dennehy, who was covering the game along with Mark Jean-Louis. And a sloppy game in the rain. Obviously, another game where the Minutemen don't score, the 5th this season where they don't score. Tell us a little bit about that game, Tim.
Yeah, this game was not too great. The Minutemen, they continue to struggle on the attack. I mean, the midfielders, they just cannot connect with the forwards. I mean, this game was like watch Titanic. It was very entertaining, but you knew how it was going to end. It was just, they were outshot 18-9, and instead of possessing the ball, they just continue to do the through ball offense, where they just continue to do the long ball over. And I compare that to like a Hail Mary in football. I mean, if you just do a Hail Mary every time, you know, the defense is going to swat it down. That's exactly what they're doing, except football, except in soccer. Literally, they just keep trying to do the through ball, and it is not working. It is just not working.
So, Tim, we've seen the struggles. Coach Devin O'Neill is having a tough time in his first season. Ryan Buckingham seems to be the star of this team, as he only let up 1 goal in that game. But what do you see this team doing going forward to show some improvement as conference play starts to roll through?
Well, I mean, right now, I think what they need to do is just get their mind right. I mean, Coach Devil said after the game, when he was asked about the game, he said, we need to get these guys back positive and believe that they can do it. It's hard when you lose as much as we lost this year. Guys get down on themselves and question what they are doing. I think that means that it's time for the seniors, or the leaders, to step up. It doesn't necessarily have to be the seniors, the 2 seniors, Josh Schwartz and Matt Keys. I mean, they could step up. But anyone on the roster, I mean, this is the time to really boost the morale of the team. And, you know, after going 1-8, they really need someone to just literally say, hey, guys, we can do it. You know what I mean? And as corny as that sounds, I mean, really, I think that would make a huge, huge impact in the team for just a leader to step up and say, let's do this.
Well, now we have VCU coming up next for the next game, and that's another conference opponent. Tell us a little bit about VCU and what the competition is going to look like.
I mean, VCU is a very strong team. They're very strong offensively. I think that our midfielders are going to need to step up if we want to have a chance in this game. I mean, VCU has played 5 top 20 teams, and they've won 2, including number 6, Georgetown. They beat 2-1. Now, our defense, I mean, Buckingham, he's been playing great. He's been playing unreal, but you cannot play a game strictly defense. You need to shoot, you need to score, and that's where the midfielders, they're not helping out their forwards. Like I said, they just keep throwing these through balls through, and it's just not working. So, I mean, I sound like a broken record every week saying what they need to do, but, you know, they're not doing it. Obviously, they're not tuning into the show. It's really disappointing. I'm just kidding. But really, I'm predicting a UMass loss, unfortunately. I try to be an optimistic person, but against VCU, I think their offense is just too tough. I'm predicting a UMass loss.
Well, Tim, the team has just 3 assists on the whole year, and I think that's very telling. You can't just score goals on your own. You need to have a team kind of game, especially in soccer, especially in rain conditions like we had this weekend. And the team is being outshot 151-84 this year, which is pretty much just reiterating what Tim had to say. So we look for some more passing, a more team-oriented game this weekend against VCU, and maybe we'll have a shot. But thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
We'll be back in a little bit to talk some field hockey, and it looks like they had a good weekend with their conference opening. The women's field hockey team showed some potential this weekend at Garber Field. 3 goals in the first half against Lockhaven secured the Minutewomen's first victory. Our own Tommy Colludi was at Garber Field to cover the win against St. Francis on Sunday.
Beautiful Sunday afternoon, the undefeated St. Francis Red Flash came in to play the Minutewomen. After an uneventful first half, Selena Adamschick cuts into the circle, backhands it right past Sam Carlino to give the Red Flash a 1-0 lead. Early in the second half, Izzy Delaria sends a penalty corner out to Melanie Cruz. She shoots, and she scores to tie the game up at 1. On an identical play, Delaria sends the ball out to Cruz, and she scores again to give the Minutewomen a 2-1 lead. Moments later, Carissa Makia sends a ball up to Mackenzie Worth. She dekes, and she scores past Sam Carlino to tie the game up for St. Francis. In the dire seconds of the second half, Delaria sends a penalty corner out to who else but Melanie Cruz, who scores the game-winning goal to give UMass the 3-2 victory over St. Francis. So, Coach, Melanie Cruz came up big. What's it like to have a freshman like her come up so big and so clutch for the team?
It's great. I mean, Mel's been playing really, really great hockey, and especially the past 2 games, she stepped up and had some critical goals for us. To have a drag flicker, especially as young as she is invaluable, really. I mean, it's one of the skills in the game that if you have it, you're loving it, and if you don't, you wish you had one. It just changes what you can do on penalty corners. But her impact on the field is just as great, and that can't be overlooked. I think she's playing almost 100% of the game lately, and playing in the back. She played a little bit of midfield today, but to have her step in and play the number of minutes and make an impact is a real positive.
Welcome back. We're here with our field hockey expert, and that's Tommy Colludi. And you just saw his package from the second game. But we're going to start with the first game against Lockhaven, where we saw a great win in front of the home fans, and we saw some improvement. Playing great in conference play, which Coach Tagliente seems very happy about. Tell us a little bit about that game.
So, Chris, what we saw in the Lockhaven game is basically the domination that UMass fans are used to with the field hockey team.
That's right.
We saw a 3-0 win, 3 different goals, which is great. It's great to see the scoring distributed. Both Sarah Hawkshaw and Melanie Cruz scored. It's good to have always good to have freshmen contributing, and they outshot Lockhaven. Yeah, I didn't know Lockhaven was a real place. I'd like to add that in. But they outshot Lockhaven 13-6. I mean, it was the domination that we're used to for the field hockey team. The defense played great. Sam Carlino kept the net clean, and it was a really good win for the Minutewomen.
So that's a great win for the Minutewomen, and now we're going to go over to the game that you covered, and that was the game against St. Francis, another conference win. So 2-0 against the conference this weekend. Tell us a little bit about that game off of that video.
So St. Francis, unbeknownst to me during the game, was undefeated coming in. So this is obviously a big challenge for the Minutewomen, and the first half was slow. The Minutewomen kind of lost their way. A lot of shots that missed the net, a lot of shots with no purpose. Passing was bad. And you got to give Coach Carla Tagliente credit and to some of the younger players. I mean, it's really difficult to make adjustments at halftime the way they did. And it shows a lot of character in those girls. And then they came out in the second half down by a goal, and they were just firing. All weapons were loose. The Minutewomen were on fire. They outshot them 16-6. And like we saw in the preview, Melanie Krusch had 3 goals. She came up great. Izzy Delaria was really great passing on those penalty corners. And we saw the Minutewomen come together as a team, which has been interesting. And another thing I want to point out, we've talked a lot about execution and how the Minutewomen will get tons of shots.
Of course.
They'll miss the net, goalie will save it, but it was nice to see the Minutemen finally execute. And you heard Coach Carla talk about that in the preview. So all in all, I think that's a really good weekend for the Minutewomen, and they're finally on a streak that kind of brings them back to the team we're used to seeing.
Now, like you said, Tommy, the team's finally on a winning streak, and this is a team that's 5-7 overall. As you said before, 3-1 in the conference. So it seems to be that they're getting hot at the right time. And now, Tom, tell me a little bit about this winning streak in the past couple of games.
Well, the winning streak, we've seen the Minutewomen live up to their identity. They've started playing much better defense. In my opinion, Sam Carlino has played a lot better. And like I said, the biggest thing is execution. The biggest issue they had at first was getting tons of penalty corners and not being able to score. You know, the setter might miss a pass, shot goes wide, shot gets blocked. But you saw Melanie Krusch in that example put up 3 goals on the penalty corners. I got to interview her after the game, and I was actually really disappointed they cut that out. She's a really great girl, and it was really nice to talk to her. But, we saw the execution that wasn't there in the first half of the season. And it's tough, especially with a young team, to go and playing teams like UConn and other teams that are in the top 10.
Yep.
With a team that was expected or preseason ranked as number 10. So it's nice to see them kind of learn their identity now. The mistakes are out of the way, and I think we have a season that could really be something special for these Minutewomen.
Well, that's great to hear, Tommy. And usually the non-conference schedule is something that prepares you for the conference schedule, better competition. So when you get to that conference schedule, you're pretty ready to go. And that's kind of what we're seeing here with this team, which is great to see for the Minutewomen. So we have positives in field hockey. And that'll conclude our episode. Thank you, Tommy. Thanks for watching us on another edition of UMass Sports Weekly. This week, the football team will try to rebound in a matchup against a winless Kent State on the road. The Minutemen hockey team will face the first conference game of the season against BU. And don't forget to follow our Facebook and Twitter pages throughout all the games for all the latest updates. Thank you and have a great week. We'll see you next week. I'm Chris Corso.